Good afternoon and welcome to Brave Embrace. We created this space so that we could honor and recognize the brave acts of individuals. And we've been introduced to some fantastic people over the last year. But today, I have someone so special, someone that equates the word perseverance and resilience. I'd like to welcome my friend and guest today, Mr. Jeff Marconette Jr. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here, and it's great because I've been talking to you for a while now, and we're finally able to connect on the show.
Yes, I love it. Well, you have such a story of bravery and things that you've overcome. And I love how you have turned those back into goodness by sharing and speaking to people. You are an author, a mentor, you're an advisor. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Jeff. Tell me what it was like when you were a boy growing up.
So, all right, guys, my name's Jeff Marconette Jr., also known as the award-winning international Make Every Second Count speaker. I'm from a little town in Ohio, and it's about 30 miles north of Dayton, and which Dayton is the bigger city around us. And then I had a very good childhood. My family was still together. My mom and dad were still together, I should say. And then I played all kinds of sports like soccer, basketball, baseball, football. I rode BMX. It was crazy. I did anything I could get my hands on.
That sounds like you were an adventurous boy. I know that you enjoyed all those activities as well with your family. But tell me about like during high school. I know that the times changed a little bit and you were facing some adversities like you'd never faced before.
Yeah, so it all happened when I was 17. I was a junior in high school, and I went to my high school in the morning, and then I went over to a vocational school where I did pre-engineering technology. And then we had open lunch because we switched between both schools. And on the way to lunch, I was sitting at a red light, changing my music, and I was listening to Incubus, if you know who that is. I'm dating myself a little bit here.
Yes.
But a friend behind me actually honked at me to tell me the light was green. And I don't know about you, Kim, but I have a lot of friends that, especially then at that age, that like to make me look like a fool, like to make me do things wrong. And so I quickly looked up, made sure the light had actually turned green and I wasn't going to be running a red light. And luckily, it had turned green. He wasn't just honking to tell me to be stupid. But so when I pulled out in the intersection, I didn't look either way because I was busy at the time. I was changing a CD. And I didn't look both ways, and that was a big mistake. You see, when I pulled out into that intersection, a semi that was coming the opposite way T-boned me right there. And I never made it to Wendy's that day. So I was going for a junior bacon cheeseburger, but instead I got a semi. And that wasn't good.
Oh, Jeff, that is, here you are, such a important time of life, launching into your future. And I know that there had been some challenges that you had faced in life and things that you'd overcome, but here now you're faced with this horrible accident that risked your life. And I've got to say, I'm sure you wish you could have made it to Wendy's that day to get your bacon cheeseburger, huh?
Yeah, I certainly do.
Well, tell me a little bit about that scene that day. What happened after that horrible accident?
So he actually hit me right in the driver's side door. I did have a passenger with me, and I'll explain that in a minute. But from that accident, I immediately was knocked unconscious, and I suffered a traumatic brain injury, a broken neck, a fractured jaw, two fractured ribs, a punctured lung, and a ruptured spleen. Now, many of those injuries are deadly just by themselves, but I had them all at once. And yeah, that wasn't good. But my passenger that I had with me was my friend named Brett Childs, and he broke his little finger.
That was his
So
injury.
everything that happened to me, he broke his little finger, and he didn't even realize it till later on that night. And while that might sound bad, and he felt guilty about it the whole time, but he really shouldn't have, but he did. And then a couple years later, he was in another wreck as a passenger. Again, the driver got hurt very bad. He was barely injured. And then a couple years later, he was in another wreck as a passenger. This time, though, he didn't make it.
He didn't.
And the driver, I don't know what happened to him, but Brett was burned alive in the car. Couldn't get out.
Wow, Jeff, that must have been hard for you to hear also as a friend, knowing that that had happened. Meanwhile, you had been working through recovering from your injuries. Now you were in the hospital for an extreme amount of time. Is that right?
Yes, I was in the hospital for 3.5 months. Now, I was in a coma for 2.5 months. So I don't remember 2.5 of those 3.5 months, but my parents and family do very well. You see, my parents never left me alone in that hotel or that hospital. I don't know why I called a hotel on an accident. It's like it wasn't a hotel, dude.
Well, you spent quite a bit of time there, so I'm sure it became like a home, and your family lovingly visiting and being there every day with you, you said.
No, actually, my dad was a realtor. So he basically just told him, hey, I'm not going to be in for a while. My mom had to keep working because she had the insurance. And so my dad would come down and stay all week long, like Monday through Friday. And my mom would come down after work on the Monday through Friday. And then on Friday night, my mom would actually stay, and my dad would go home for Friday night, Saturday night, and then he would be back for Sunday evening. And you see, they never left me alone in that hospital. They told me that a doctor, my main doctor, told him, you know, my dad's name is Jeff too, so I'm going to kind of play this out. So he said, you know, Jeff, you can go home. We have good doctors here. We have good nurses here. We have good people here. But if it was me, I wouldn't go home either. And my dad and my mom stayed with me the whole freaking time. So all 3.5 months they were there, or one of them was there.
I can only imagine how important and critical that was to them to advocate for your care and also to watch what hopefully they were seeing in progress. So during that time, you were having to, relearn a lot of things, right? And you were in physical therapy after you left the hospital for months and months just to be able to walk again.
Actually, I'm still in physical therapy, and it's been 20 years since my accident. But yes, I had to relearn to walk. I had to relearn to talk. I had to relearn to eat. I had to relearn to drink. I basically, I tell people I went from my 17th birthday on October 12th, 2001 to being born on January 7th, 2002, because I was like an infant again.
Mm-hmm. Wow. We talked a little bit in preparation for our conversation today, and I know in getting to know you, we've talked about the things that we've both overcome, and another reason we share this show as a platform is to really bring awareness and attention to survivors of violent acts of crime, of sexual assault and sexual abuse, and that's something that I've overcome. And one of the things I know that we share as we talk about those experiences is being kind of like having to be born again. Once these acts happen and your life changes, not only physically are you recovering and trying to find healing and restoration, but mentally and spiritually and emotionally too, right? What was the experience for you like in those areas, Jeff?
Well, it was, it's been a very slow process. That they say nothing good happens overnight, and you don't really see that until something like this happens to you, and you aren't going to go for the instant gratification any longer, because at this point that it's going to take work, and it's going to take freaking hard work. And
yes.
Just, I don't know, just one day at a time.
Well, and through that, with your resiliency, you have really decided and been intentional, to use your word, about creating a life that represented your strength and your ability to overcome the things that you had in your past, and this accident as it set the trajectory of your life in a different way. So, you have spoken internationally. You have shared and mentored with students and with young people that have faced all kinds of abuses and adversities. And you have a tagline that is kind of your favorite quote. Share that with me if you don't mind.
So my tagline is "Make every second count."
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because you never know when the seconds are going to run out on your one life. And like, I know this isn't the right place for politics, and I'm not going to get involved in politics, but seeing the pictures and videos of Ukraine within the past 48 hours reminds me how important it is that each and every person out there makes every second count, because there are some real nuts in the world, and your life can be cut short because they want to take it away. Your life can change because they make a mistake, because they're doing something stupid. So that's why make every second count is so important.
So in your journey to healing and in the process of your recovery, share with me how you dug down deep and found the strength to push through every day.
Well, first of all, I want to say that while I had this strength, I believe that each and every person has this strength. They just need to believe in themselves enough. And I think my sports background and being athletic.
Oh, I think Jeff's audio and video might be frozen. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like our guest froze up a bit. Hopefully he'll rejoin us. It's Jeff Marconette Jr. is sharing his story of overcoming. Jeff dealt with a variety of challenges as a young man and ultimately ended up with an accident that changed his life. He came out of that barely alive with injuries to almost every organ in his body. And he's been sharing with us today about what it takes to overcome that and to rise above. One of his favorite quotes is how to make every second matter. And Jeff has gone on to write a journal. We'll share a picture of that here in a moment for, preteens and up into their 20s, youth that are in need of encouragement and in need of a way to journal their hopes and their challenges and their fears and their strengths. Jeff was able to join a group in Africa recently where he was sharing about overcoming this journey. I'm going to have him just log back in. And he's been invited to come and speak in several other countries as his message is one of perseverance and overcoming. One of the things that I love about his story is the way that he weaves his family in and out of his ability to find that strength and resilience. Please check out his website, jeffmarconetteJr.com. You can learn about him and his journey. Also, you can find ways to interact with him as a speaker, coach, and presenter. Jeff spoke a few weeks ago in the Midwest and has another opportunity coming up midsummer, I believe that he said. So hopefully we'll get Jeff back in a moment and we can continue our conversation. Finding brave in the difficult moments that we find our lives in is really about a choice. And Jeff was alluding to that during our conversation as he was reflecting on seeing pictures of war-torn Ukraine in the media recently, and basically reminding us how fragile life is. And he has lived that personally, and he has experienced that vicariously through people that he's been mentoring. One of the focuses of this show is really supporting and recognizing the brave of those that have faced sexual violence and have overcome that. And Jeff has made it part of his mission to support those youth that have experienced that so that they can see and relate to it as a physical accident might be, where you're physically faced with challenges to heal. And in his words, sometimes mentally and emotionally, we're also faced with wounds that we need to work on healing. So it looks like due to some technical issues, he's not able to rejoin us. I hope that we're able to have him as a guest in the future. For those watching, if you know of anyone that you would like to see on our show, please have them reach out to us through Facebook, Instagram, or through our website. We really honor the opportunity to share these stories and to drop a little bit of encouragement in your Friday afternoon. As we know from just living in these last couple of years with the pandemic and all the things that have resulted from that, it takes a village to really keep yourself motivated and confident and to find that resiliency. So I would ask that you lean into those relationships that are close, lean in to find that encouragement and support. And we'll be looking forward to next time when you can join us here on Brave Embrace. And until then, please be brave. Okay, back with Brave Embrace. We were actually able to reconnect with our guest today, Mr. Jeff Marconette Jr. Thank you for rejoining us. Sorry about the internet issue that you're facing. I'm glad you're back.
Oh, I'm glad I'm back too, but I'm back on my phone, so my audio might not sound as good.
Well, you sound great to me, and yeah, the boldness and confidence in your voice is definitely what we're hearing. So during that little break, I shared a bit more of your story and about your passion in working with youth and in mentoring. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? I also spoke of your journal that you created. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I have a place in my heart, a special place in my heart for kids. I think it has to do with the fact that I was injured when I was 17, and that time is just like so important. And I learned these skills since then that I didn't really have at the time, that I think are imperative. And each kid, each student out there, I like to work with about, say, fourth graders up to even out of college, just out of college though. And the good thing is though, it's never too late to relearn these foundational skills. And so I have, oh yeah, you have pictures. I have put a journal together. It's called Make Every Second Count, a 1,500-hour journal. And it is all about helping people see the good in life, see the things they have instead of what they want all the time. And it's much easier to see more and more things that you have when you're thankful for the simple things that you have. You know, each day I wake up and I post on Facebook. I don't check my messages. I don't check anything else, but I post up on Facebook. I am so thankful to be given today, and I will make it a great day. And that that sets an intention on my day. That sets that sets the gratitude in motion. And then I'm just thankful that I'm here for another day. You know, my intro song when I speak is Andy Grammer, Good to Be Alive Right About Now. And that's the whole my whole thing, that it's good to be alive right about now, because you might not be in 3 seconds from now.
And you know that all too personally. Jeff, I'm wondering about your mindset, in those days, weeks, and months after the accident, because I hear this drive to like really get your life back in order and be proud that you're alive. So was your mindset there early on, or did you have to really work and feed it to get it to where it was so strong?
Well, so I for the longest time I didn't have this mindset. Um, I've had to teach myself these things. I've had to learn from things that I've done, learn from experiments I've done, learn from videos I've watched on YouTube, learn from audios I've listened to on Pandora or Spotify. That's another one. Or even on YouTube. You can turn those videos on in the background and just listen to them. And it's just, that has shown me that there's so much more to life and we can do anything. And I don't know, it's just so possible that things happen. I understand that there's all kinds of things that happen in someone's life, but you can't control those things. You can't stop those things. You can only live with those things. You can only prevail. You can only overcome those things.
Yeah. Wow. That's like magic to my ears. I love the word prevail, because I'm thinking of you from a traumatic brain injury to this wonderful human being who just exudes joy, and it's all by choice. You had to work hard to go through, and even still, the physical therapy and things that you needed physically. And I've heard that you kind of connect some of the physical brokenness sometimes to someone being mentally broken or emotionally broken, and looking at it as if it's a journey to get the healing again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with your family, and through the years, what did you think the trajectory of your life was like before the accident? What were your hopes and dreams and goals?
So before the accident, I had the idea of being an engineer. Obviously, that's why I was in pre-engineering technology, and I wanted to go to school for that. But I also rode my bike constantly, and I had the idea that maybe, just maybe, I would be able to go pro. And I would end up couch surfing from couch to couch around the country, riding my bike. Everybody's got some wild dreams, but none of that happened. You know, it's weird. I talk to people all the time, and they have these dreams that are laid in stone, and they're putting everything towards that dream. And I understand that, because it's not good to have a plan B for anything, because if you have a plan B, you're taking away from plan A. But something happens. They get down on themselves. They have some financial meltdown in their life, and they can no longer do that, and their life goes up in smoke. But you have to understand that your dreams revolve around you. It's not you revolving around your dreams. You see, like my dreams, while I could still kind of ride a bike, I could no longer do BMX. While I could still kind of do simple math, I could no longer do trigonometry that I did before my accident. So biking, engineering weren't going to work. So I had to adapt my dreams to fit me. I had to modify them so I could do them.
Wow. It seems like kind of a simple statement. However, it's so full and grand, because basically you've just pivoted and reframed it, to say that, right, now choose dreams that work with who you are, and that will allow you to achieve them. I mean, I think, what did you do? How did you work through the loss of maybe the dreams that you thought you had, or the loss of the things that you know couldn't do any longer? How did you process those?
It wasn't easy. I used to have a drinking problem. I would go out like 7 nights a week. So Sunday through Sunday to get drunk. If I wasn't getting sick by the end of the night, I was doing something wrong. And I wasn't going out just to hang out with friends. I wasn't going out to see people, to meet new people. I was going out to drink. And that helped me cope with a lot of things, I think. But I eventually quit doing that. And it no longer served me to do that.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So that awakening came where you realized it's time to make different choices. I see that you said it was a way to cope for a while, to kind of numb things, which I think we all choose things like that to kind of quiet the pain that we're suffering. But man, by making that choice to be intentional. So back to the mentoring and the speaking, Jeff, I'm just so inspired by your desire to get up and share the joy that you have worked so hard to cultivate, and to show that, and to give that gift to people. What was the first time, when was the first time you shared on a stage and felt that?
So the first time I shared on the stage, man, that's a great question. I don't really, well, all right. So the first time I shared on the stage was in Atlanta, Georgia.
Mhm.
It was at one of Dr. Ruben West's Live Your Best Life events. And he brought me up on stage and had me talk for 3 minutes. And I was like, wow. It was amazing because I drew from the energy of the crowd. I drew from the love of the crowd. In fact, when I got off stage, everybody came up and either gave me a high five or a hug or something. This was before COVID. So hugs weren't bad at that time.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And it created that it, it it exclamated that dream in my head. It made that dream even bigger because while I had thought about it, while I had dreamed about it, about getting up there on stage, I didn't know how I was going to do it. But after I did it for the first time, amazing.
Yeah. That it was like it lit a fire within you, huh? That you wanted to continue
Yeah.
carrying. I love that. Well, part of what I really cultivate and take from your story is the amount of brave that you have consistently just pulled out of yourself. And I want to honor that. And I want to ask you, what encouraging words would you give to someone to find their own brave if they're going through either a physical loss or accident, an emotional, or all the types of things that we experience as humans? What are those words of wisdom for finding brave?
So, Andy Grammer has another song, says keep your head up.
Yeah.
And that that is so important. And he has another song called Don't Give Up on Me. But it's about not giving up on yourself. And my thing is, whatever you're going through, it's going to get better. I know you've probably heard that before, and that might frustrate you. That it's going to get better. But just do me a favor. Hang in there. Hold on. Because if you let go, if you end things, where are you going to be then?
Mm-hmm.
So it gets better, guys. I promise. It might take some time. Nothing good happens overnight. But I'll tell you this right now. One of my principles to make every second count is that there are blessings hidden in every adversity. They might be hard to see, but they're there. And they're there to teach you something. They happen because those adversities happen because you need to learn something. Those adversities are there so you can grow through something. I don't want you to have to go through something. All right, I need this put in the comments because this is a takeaway right here.
Okay.
Sometimes you don't go through things, but you grow through things. So what I'm saying is sometimes you have to find the lesson in something. And it might not be easy. I'm not saying that, but it's there.
So growing through those adversities rather than just, struggling each day with your head down, feeling defeated, but realizing that maybe this is a growth opportunity and that you're going to be better on the other side of this adversity. Is that kind of the message? Am I taking that away correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My doctor in the big town of Dayton, Ohio, said to me that things are changing around the hospital, and that he had employees that were quitting and employees that were finding other jobs. And I told him, don't look at change as a bad thing. Look at change as a new opportunity, an opportunity to grow. There's a lot of people that have lost their jobs during this COVID thing. There's a lot of people that have lost all their money during this COVID. A lot of people that have lost family members to COVID. A lot of people that have just lost family members in general, not anything to do with COVID, but those are all something you have to deal with. And you see, all right, so we're going to take this loss of a job thing for a minute. And I want you to think about this differently. Have you ever had an idea or a dream to start your own business? And I think you have, because you have this show.
Yes.
So what if losing that job gives you the opportunity to finally start that new business? What if losing, say, your husband, which is terrible, don't get me wrong. What if that lets you meet a nicer man or a nicer woman? And I'm not saying look at losing your husband or your wife as a good thing, but in the end, it might be
some purpose to the pain, like being willing to look for kind of like that silver lining, I guess is one way I think of it in my mind, but understanding that philosophy of like one door shutting, another opening. Those are words that I think when spoken to people like you do from the stage or from the group work that you do, it reminds people that there is possibility. And you said that today when we first got on the call together, that you look for possibility and you get excited about what's next and what is possible. Man, you're so inspiring, and hearing from you in such a relatable way. I love to just converse with you. I feel inspired, encouraged, and I feel like there's just something better in the world. So I appreciate that. I'm so thankful you were on today. Are there any parting words that you'd like to leave with those that are watching? Some encouraging words?
All right. Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to do this on this show because I didn't ask, first of all. But it's easier to ask for permission than or easier to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. So I have set something up here, and
Okay.
my journal that I talked about
Mhm.
is, if you go to my website, www.jeffmarconetejr.com, and it should be in the comment section of this video,
Yes.
and then go pull down on the top, or there's I can't think of the word.
Search or a
What?
menu, like a search button or a menu button, maybe? Are you thinking?
No, it's just yeah, all right. We'll just say it's a menu for the lack of a word. But it says journal across the top. And if you click on that page and then go to it, you can actually download the first 7 days of that journal for free. So the first
Wow.
week of that journal is free on my website. And I think it would benefit each and every person out there to get that journal, because I know that it will help you. I know that you will start to see things differently. You know, Dr. Wayne Dyer says that when you look at the world differently, the things you see in the world will change. So you have to look for those different things. You can't just expect those different things are going to be there. You have to change your mind first, and then they will be there. Because honestly, our minds create our reality. I'm not saying that our minds create everything that happens around us, but I'm saying that how we react to those things really makes up how those things are taken, how those things turn out.
Mhm.
And getting this journal will help you change those things. And I need each and every one of you out there to do me a favor. I need you to make every second count. Why, you might ask? Well, you never know when those seconds are going to run out on your one life. Hey, you guys have a great day.
Thanks, Jeff. That's wonderful. What a gift. Thank you so much for being here. You heard it. Go to his website, which is linked in the comments. Look for the journal, and you can download as his gift the first 7 days to get you started on that journey. Make every second count. Again, thanks for being here today and learning about my friend Jeff and his journey to find his brave. Until next time, be brave.